Hi, welcome to another midweek message. Deceit has been one of Satan's most successful spiritual weapons from the beginning of human history. He employed it in the temptation of Eve and thus brought sin into the world. And he has used it against virtually every man and woman in every age of human history since. It is one of those things to which we need to give careful attention, lest we fall victim to the deceptions of Satan. And when we read in the Scriptures the simple words, "Do not be deceived," we need to give particular attention. Not because those are the only areas of our spiritual lives in which deceit is a danger, but because those words call attention to particular areas of danger. Those areas where men and women are perhaps most susceptible, where we are perhaps more likely to be deceived than in others. One of those warnings appears in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. In that context, the Apostle Paul was correcting the Corinthians as there had been some among them who were teaching error regarding the resurrection from the dead. And in that context, the Apostle Paul warns in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33, "Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals." There are a lot of us who live as if we are the exception to this rule. We are the exception to what is a universal truth. Paul warns us we don't need to be deceived about this. We are not the exception to the rule. Bad company has the effect of corrupting good communication or good morals. That is, the evil influences around us will ultimately turn our lives in an evil direction. In Psalm 1, the psalmist spoke to this in Psalm 1, beginning in verse 1, who said, "How blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord." There is a danger that is highlighted because there is a progression described here in Psalm 1, verse 1. Walking, then standing, then sitting. That is passing by the way, lingering, and then taking one's place among evil influences. Do not be deceived. Evil has a tremendous draw, and it will ultimately capture our attention and hold us to its influence. For this reason, Jesus warned in Luke chapter 12 about being aware of the leaven of hypocrisy. Paul spoke in 1 Corinthians 5 of the leaven of worldliness. In Galatians 5, Paul wrote about the leaven of false doctrine. Beware of leaven. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Even the seemingly smallest of influences, even the most insignificant of contact with evil, can be incredibly dangerous. And we need not to think ourselves immune to its influence. A little leaven leavens the whole lump of dough. Bad communication, bad company corrupts good morals. If we are going to live as Christians, if we are going to be the people God wants us to be, we will of necessity live in the world, but we must never be of the world. Paul wrote in Romans chapter 12 about having our minds transformed, not conformed to this world, but transformed minds, renewed so that we might be more like Christ. Peter wrote in 1 Peter chapter 1 that as obedient children, we ought to be holy. For the one whom we serve is holy. We need to be aware of the influences that we allow into our lives. And we need to ask ourselves some humbling questions. With whom are we spending more time? The people of the world who influence us to be more like the world, or people who are influencing us toward godliness? Who are we confiding in? Who are we trusting with those most personal elements of our lives? From whom are we receiving advice? Who are we dating? Who are we allowing to give us influence in our spiritual thinking? To what teachers are we listening? We need to carefully consider the company we keep, the entertainment that we receive, the recreation in which we involve, the people with whom we associate, the places we go. Because we are not the exception to the rule. Bad company corrupts good morals. Even the smallest of things affect our thinking, and we must be careful that we do not allow them to dominate our perspective and change the spiritual values by which we live. Do not be deceived. Thanks so much for watching.